views expressed in this blog are hosted on my own website, are strictly personal, and do not reflect the views of any organization. Hello and welcome once again to Straight Bat, my weekly video blog, where, as the title suggests, I comment with a straight bat. Now, in the vocabulary of Indian politics, three alphabets matter more than any other. OBC. That's right. Simply put, other backward classes. That's the critical alphabet of Indian politics. That's right, a term first used by the government of India to classify castes which were seen as educationally and socially backward and hence deserving of reservations, a term which gained popular currency in 1990 when the then Prime Minister Vishwanath Pratap Singh VP Singh brought in and implemented the Mandal report that guaranteed 27% reservations for OBCs. It was a move that dramatically changed India's political landscape forever. Today it is the OBCs who often decide the shape of Indian electoral politics in particular, both at the centre and in the states, which is why in the last week the BJP both in Delhi and in Lucknow has been worried by what is being seen as a potential OBC revolt as it prepares for the big 2010-22 elections in Uttar Pradesh. Now, by itself, some of these departures of OBC leaders may not have meant much. Swami Prasad Maurya or indeed Mr. Dara Singh Chauhan are ministers in the Yogi government, but on their own, they may not carry sufficient clout. But taken together, they do signify something which is happening on the ground. A growing assertion and anger within the OBCs, and that's what I'm going to explain this time. Now, Mr. Maurya himself, who's the most important leader to have left the BJP in UP, is a transactional politician with no great ideological commitment to the BJP. For years, he was Mayawati's right-hand man in the Bahujan Samaj Party, and it's only in 2016 that he leaves Mayawati because he realizes that the BSP leader's fortunes are dwindling, goes and joins hands with the BJP, gets a ticket, becomes a minister in the Yogi government, gets his daughter a ticket in Lok Sabha 2019, and we are told that this time wanted a ticket for his son too, which is where the BJP drew the line. But what is also true is that Mr. Maurya has been feeling increasingly restive and disgruntled in the Yogi Adityanath cabinet because, according to his aides, Yogi runs the government like a one-man show with his bureaucrats, disregards the views of all the ministers. Now, whatever be the reason for the exit of Mr. Maurya and other MLAs, some of whom may have been denied tickets, the fact is that the BJP is facing perhaps its first serious challenge to its dominance in UP, and it is coming from the restive, assertive OBC castes of the state. And this perhaps is its one Achilles heel, its inability to ensure genuine power sharing with the OBCs in Uttar Pradesh. Now, let's give the backstory. Remember, in 2017, the BJP went into the election with Keshav Prasad Maurya as its UP state president. If you saw the posters then, there was Mr. Modi, there was Amit Shah, then BJP president, and there was Mr. Maurya on all the hoardings. There was no Yogi Adityanath. In fact, Yogi Adityanath was a member of parliament from Gorakhpur at the time and was not even seen as the chief campaigner of the BJP in that election, much less the mascot of the party. And yet, after the elections, when the BJP wins big, Keshav Prasad Maurya isn't made chief minister, he's made deputy chief minister. The chief minister's post goes to Yogi Adityanath, a Thakur, an upper caste in that sense. The RSS, which had a significant say in the choice of chief minister, chooses Yogi Adityanath, who represents, in a sense, the core strident Hindutva appeal of the BJP as the chief minister, and not an OBC like Keshav Prasad Maurya. And this was significant because the fact is that it was the non-Yadav OBCs represented by the likes of Keshav Prasad Maurya, who had been responsible for the growth of the BJP in Uttar Pradesh over this past decade. Just to elaborate, the non-Yadav OBCs constitute about 35% of UP's population. OBCs together are about 45, out of which 10% are Yadavs. The rest are the non-Yadav OBCs. Lots of small castes and communities, which includes the Mauryas, who are known by different names like Kushwa, Kachi, Saini, Sakya, as the most significant and found across the state. By making a Thakur, choosing a Thakur over a Maurya, the RSS BJP took a calculated gamble, a belief that the politics of Hindutva would trump caste divides. But in the process, the BJP opened itself to the charge of remaining an upper caste dominated party. And it also reopened wounds from the past. Remember, the original BJP face of Uttar Pradesh was Kalyan Singh. The first chief minister in 1990 from the BJP, he was a Lodh, a backward caste. But he felt for the longest time also that he was never being given his due by the Brahmin-dominated Atal Bihari Vajpayee-led BJP of the time. Uma Bharti was another face of the back OBC assertion in the 1990s, a face from the Ram Janmabhoomi movement, but the firebrand Sadhvi also felt she was not given her due. Both Kalyan Singh and Uma Bharti eventually left the BJP, did come back to the party, but the seeds of OBC anger or disquiet were sown in the 1990s itself within the BJP. Ironically, the BJP's biggest OBC face is Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself. Now, he may be the Hindutva hero in Gujarat, but in UP, he plays on his OBC origins very strongly ever since he chose Varanasi as his seat before becoming Prime Minister in 2014. And OBC as a Prime Minister made a huge difference, I believe, to the BJP's social and political trajectory in Uttar Pradesh. And with Amit Shah as party chief in charge of UP at the time, the non-Yadav OBCs were consciously cultivated as part of the BJP's social engineering strategy. 54 of the BJP's 75 district presidents were OBCs. And this social engineering strategy paid rich dividends at the time. The BJP won Uttar Pradesh 2014, 2017 and 2019, a hat-trick where the non-Yadav OBCs voted in large numbers for the BJP. As much as 72% according to the CSDS post-poll survey in 2019 of the non-Yadav OBCs stood by the BJP. In 2012, the numbers were barely 18 to 20%. So a 3 times rise in support for the BJP among the non-Yadav OBCs. But 2022 could be slightly different because within the OBC leadership, both within and outside the BJP, there is a sense of restlessness and a desire to look for options. The BJP's 2017 ally Om Prakash Rajbhar is no longer with the party. He's tied up with Akhilesh Yadav's Samajwadi Party. The Rajbhars are about 4% but concentrated in eastern UP, can make a difference there. Then there is the Janwadi Socialist Party led by Sanjay Chauhan, who belongs to the Nonia community, about 2%, again influential in some pockets, again tying up with Akhilesh Yadav. Then you've got the Mahan Dal led by Keshav Dev Maurya, again flag bearer of the Maurya Kushwa community. He too has gone and tied up with Akhilesh Yadav. What Akhilesh Yadav is doing is trying to string together a rainbow coalition of these small non-Yadav OBCs, almost like a Mandal 2.0, to take on the Kamandal of the BJP. Even within the BJP, I am told that Keshav Prasad Maurya has made it clear this time, if the BJP wins, I will stake a claim to becoming the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. I cannot be neglected like I was in 2017. So a certain restiveness is growing, not just within OBC leaders. Let me tell you that the core OBC voter is often an OBC youth who wants government jobs today. But what's happening? There's a job crisis. There have been recruitment scams. There have been reservation scams involving teacher recruitment in Uttar Pradesh. Paper leaks have meant delays in examinations. So a lot of OBC youth are also restless. And that, to my friends, is where the BJP's problems lie. Let me also tell you that take a look at just the representation of OBCs. Nearly 45% of the BJP MPs in parliament even today are from the upper castes. 19.7% are from the OBCs. Number of BJP OBC MPs have increased from 10 in 1989 to 35 today. But in terms of overall representation, the BJP still remains an upper caste party. Yes, Mr. Modi tried to, in a sense, reflect the changing times when 27 OBCs were made ministers in his Council of Ministers. But the key posts, Home, Defense, External Affairs, Finance, all still upper caste. So OBCs feel they need greater, genuine political representation. All of which brings me to Yogi Adityanath once again. He talked this week of an 80-20 election in Uttar Pradesh, which meant that effectively disregarding the Muslim voter. That I am going to focus on the 80% Hindu voter who want a Ram Janmabhoomi temple. The truth though is that you cannot treat the political Hindu as some kind of a monolith who will come together only over the Ram Mandir issue. Hindus are splintered, they are divided among hundreds of castes and subcastes. Hindutva and issues like the Ram Mandir may provide a unifying umbrella for a while, but only up to a point. Today, every caste, every community wants to feel empowered. An empowerment which in the sharp-edged politics of the Hindi heartland means greater political representation, a greater share in the power cake. The OBCs want more than just symbolic gestures. They want power sharing. That's a lesson that the BJP will have to learn and a challenge that they will have to meet if they are to retain power in Uttar Pradesh. Think about it. That was the straight bat. Do of course subscribe to my YouTube channel for many more such videos. For now, stay well, stay safe. Goodbye. Namaskar. Jai Hind.